Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Jared, has work been all right for you? Daniel asked. His face was filled with concern. Yeah. Everything's fine, Jared replied. That's good to hear. Daniel felt an immediate sense of relief upon hearing that everything was going smoothly for Jared. After breakfast was over, everyone left to go about their daily routine, with Jared dropping Nicole off at work. Let's go, Jared told Max after Nicole had entered the building. Mr. Johnston, are you not going to tell your wife about this? Max asked hesitantly. No. I know for sure that she'll be worried, Jared said, feeling indifferent about the situation. What if Lawrence beats you to it and tells her? Max blurted out, worried on behalf of Jared if Nicole discovered the truth. A cold look flashed across Jared's eyes, and in a cold voice he replied, if he wants to tell her, then he can go ahead. I'll have to see how thick-skinned he can be if he does. Max paused for a moment before nodding in agreement. He probably wouldn't want to embarrass himself either. What's the update on Iris? Jared asked, changing the subject. The police are on the lookout to arrest her, Max responded. The biggest threat to the Johnston group right now was Iris Brown. Even after they had dismissed her, she was still running around disclosing company secrets and projects to others. This sort of betrayal was completely unethical and unacceptable. As such, Iris ought to pay the price for her conduct. Jared leaned back against his seat as he looked out the window, for his mind had drifted off elsewhere. Meanwhile, Nicole had just entered the office with Lulu following in tow. Nicole, Mr. Royce has returned the money back into your account. Returned? Nicole was astonished by the news. Why didn't he inform me? Let me ask him. Nicole dialed Lawrence's number. Leo. Nicole immediately said after Lawrence had picked up. Is it because of the funds? Lawrence cut right to the chase. Yeah, did something happen? Nicole asked. No, for the time being I don't need it just yet. I've been busy, I haven't had the time to inform you. Oh. Nicole uttered, relieved that it was nothing serious. So the matter has been resolved. Nicole asked with the knowledge that Lawrence was suffering a shortage of funds for this project. Yeah, pretty much. Lawrence brushed it off like nothing had happened. With that said, Nicole was relieved to hear the news from Lawrence. Well, if there's anything you need, don't be afraid to reach out to me. Okay, Lawrence agreed, and soon they hung up. Nicole looked at Lulu. It seems like he doesn't need the funds anymore. How can it be? Lulu had a puzzled expression on her face. Are funding problems solved this easily? I don't know the specifics of how he did it, but he did say that he'll be okay and won't be needing it. Nicole knew that Lawrence was not a reckless man. Him asking her for funds was one thing, but to solve it easily in a time of urgency was indeed odd. I see. Lulu said, and left it as it is. Nicole glanced at Lulu. Spencer did not come home last night. Did he stay at your place? Lulu's cheeks reddened, and she stuttered, he stayed in the guest room. Nicole chuckled, and that was when she teased, I didn't ask about this. What I meant was, did you guys reconcile? Nicole, stop teasing me. Lulu's face became as red as tomato as Nicole gave her a playful look, knowing that she had done it on purpose. Are you embarrassed? Nicole teased. Of course not. He slept in the guest room, Lulu squealed. Okay. Spencer slept in the guest room. Nicole repeated with a devilish smile. Have you guys made up or not? Lulu bit her lips. We're okay. Lulu was unsure of what to believe, but she trusted that Spencer was telling the truth and went along with it. That's good to hear. It's obvious that Iselin had done it on purpose. Don't buy into any of her words. It's not worth it. Nicole sighed. Nicole herself was unsure what Iselin had said to coax Spencer into sending her back home personally, let alone fall. If the incident was as he said, an accident, then Iselin's fall would be downright suspicious. I mean, come on. Who would fall right into the arms of another person unless they're deliberately throwing themselves around? Does she think everyone is a fool? Nicole wondered. Lulu nodded. I do know what her intention was, but it just feels uncomfortable to stand there and watch. Did you tell Spencer about how you felt? Nicole raised her eyebrows, looking at Lulu. No. Lulu shook her head. Hearing this, Nicole could not help but respond with a hint of irritation in her voice. You have to tell him how you felt. Otherwise, how would he know how you were feeling? Nicole went on to coach Lulu on how to deal with Iselm. If Lulu were to continue idling around at the sidelines, their relationship with one another would be strained, sooner or later. I don't want to burden him. Lulu lowered her head and murmured. So, is this what you're planning to do? Put all that burden on yourself to test how long you can endure all of this crap? Or are you going to go head on with this until everything falls apart? Nicole. Lulu's face turned pale, whereupon she sullenly replied, I don't know. Nicole could not help but roll her eyes at that point. I think the best solution for us now is that you two should get married as soon as possible. A double wedding should be nice. Wedding? Lulu's eyes widened in shock at Nicole's brazen suggestion. Nicole mentally sighed as she saw Lulu's expression. Never mind about it. I think you should think about yourself first. Perhaps she never thought of a solution to this yet. I'll give her some time to think things through. Okay, then I'll go back to work. Lulu left as soon as she finished speaking. Lulu had never considered marriage as a solution to her problems until Nicole brought it up. I'm just a mere secretary to the Riddle family. As his girlfriend, I am a bit too much of an average Jane as compared to him. Lulu was so distracted by the thought of it that she did not see the delivery man coming over with a bouquet of flowers. She bumped right into him. Oh my. Lulu's face planted right into the bouquet of flowers, her face engulfed by the scent of florals. Shit. The delivery man got a mental breakdown right away as he saw the bouquet of flowers all messed up. I'm so sorry, Lulu apologized. Who is the flower for, may I ask? I'll apologize on your behalf or replace one for her. The delivery man looked at the details before replying, Lulu Barrera. Ha. Lulu's jaw dropped. Me? For me? The delivery man was taken aback by how coincidental it was. Who sent these? Lulu wore a puzzled look on her face. Who would send me flowers? As she spoke, Lulu grabbed the bouquet of flowers, before reaching out to take the card. As she read the card, a smile appeared on her face. Spencer sent these. Lulu hugged the bouquet of flowers and went back to the office. She immediately placed the flowers into a vase. A silly smile appeared on her face as she stared at the flowers in front of her in a daze. Though it was not the first time Lulu had received flowers, she thought it was the most beautiful bouquet of flowers she had ever received. Suddenly, the office phone rang, and she snapped back to her senses. She quickly answered the call and went back to work. Afterwards. Then, Lulu took a quick glance at the bouquet of flowers once more before continuing her work. Meanwhile, at Genesis Group, Lawrence leaned against his seat while he was in deep thought. There, he wondered about how he had lost his wife and his army. Iris had also failed at her job, and even all the projects abroad had suffered tremendous losses. Lawrence had never thought that Jared would step in and block Nicole's transfer of funds, consequently halting all of his plans. If Nicole's money had been successfully wired over, I don't think Jared would do such a thing, as Nicole, someone he cares so much about, but too bad. Suddenly, Lawrence's phone rang, snapping him back in reality. He stared at the phone for a while before picking it up. Mr. Royce, please, you have to save me. I have nowhere to go. Iris's panicked voice echoed over the speaker. If I help you, the things you've promised me will not be fulfilled. How can I help you? Lawrence said, his voice icy and deep. If it was not for her stupid mistake, this should have been accomplished a long time ago, and I would not have ended up like this, he fumed. I ended up like this because of you. You can't just leave me stranded and defenseless. Iris protested, not expecting Lawrence to brush her off like that. She panicked. If he doesn't help me, I am doomed. We had a deal. You did not fulfill your promise. Our deal is over." Lawrence hung up immediately after he had set things straight. "Mr. Royce, I heard the police are looking for her. If she's caught, won't we?" Ian hesitated. What if Iris betrays Mr. Royce? Ian thought. She has no proof at all. Who would even consider her alibi credible? Lawrence replied nonchalantly. Ian issued a sigh of relief. As long as it doesn't mess with Mr. Royce, then all should be fine. Have the international offices stay quiet for a few days. I'll find a way to recover our losses, Lawrence said, as he did not want any sort of affiliation with Iris. Yes, I'll reach out to them as soon as possible. Ian agreed before turning around to leave the office. The office immediately became silent after Ian had left. The sinister look in Lawrence's eyes as he thought, countless hours of planning ended up in flames. Jared Johnston is not an easy feat, and that idiot of a person, Iris Brown, caused this foolproof plan to burn down in flames. Jared Johnston, I will not be defeated. I will not lose. 3 days later. The police had not found any traces of Iris. This is odd. It's as if she had vanished into thin air. Mr. Johnston, do you think Lawrence had a hand in hiding her? Max asked, his face displaying hints of skepticism. No. Jared remained calm, knowing that Lawrence had long washed his hands of Iris, and would not help her, let alone hide her. Max frowned. Then where on earth could she be? While San Joto was a huge place, for the police to scour for her would not be that difficult of a task. But why is there no news about her at all? Nevertheless, Jared was confident. She's bound to show up sooner or later. Iris can keep hiding like this, but sooner or later, she will show up. I just have to wait for that moment. Max agreed with a nod, understanding where Jared was coming from. I will have someone keep a lookout. On the other hand, Lawrence's side seems awfully quiet these days. Jared's eyes darkened with doubt. Yeah. They aren't doing anything. All they've been doing is contacting their offices abroad. It's probably to cut their losses, Max replied. Jared snorted. Cut? Oh, there's no way he will recover from that. How can he even think of backing off? Does he think everything will end when he flees? Mr. Johnston, do you mean? Jared cut Max off. Take all of their projects. Yes, sir. Max said, his voice bordering on a yelp as he was unable to contain his happiness. He was eager to take Genesis Group down. The adrenaline from taking their enemies down were the little joys that gave Max the push to go on. After all, they were the ones who had initiated the fight. Soon, the car came to a stop, and when Jared saw Nicole coming out of the building, his gaze immediately softened up. Nicole jogged up to the car and got in, putting a smile on his face. Nice timing. He reached out and pinched her cheek. There's no need to rush, I'll always wait for you. A playful look flashed across Nicole's face. Aren't you such a charmer? Did you do something wrong? No, Jared replied with a serious look. This stunned Nicole for a moment before she burst out laughing. I was joking. Why are you taking it so seriously? There's no joking in any of this. Jared fondled her hair, showing his sincerity and seriousness in the conversation. A smile flashed across Nicole's eyes, melting Jared's heart at once. She looks so cute. How's the company doing recently? Jared looked down at Nicole and asked, changing the topic. It's going well. Nicole shrugged before looking at Jared. Why are you asking this? Just asking. Jared maintained the solemn look on his face as he was not asking the question lightly and was truly concerned about her. By the way, the other riddles are quite busy. Snow joined Dillcorp just to get closer to Harvey, and Harvey was having a deal going on with Everett. I'm just curious as to who will get to be paired up. Nicole curled her lips into a smile as she enthused. You truly are something. Jared shook his head playfully. Taken aback by Jared's response, she gave him a blank look. I'm talking about them. Jared knew that all three of them were scheming and wanted control of everything. With you here, they can't ever have things go their way, he replied. Jared was very protective of Nicole. He knew that Nicole did not care about the Riddle family as a corporate entity, knowing that Sean would be the one to eventually inherit everything. However, it did not stop the public from gossiping about it. Nicole flashed a dazed smile at Jared as she listened on to his cocky remarks. How can he be so handsome? I love it when he's like this. They have no chance of winning. Though everything was going according to Nicole's plan, she was curious as to how things would end up between Harvey, Snow, and Everett. On one hand, she had totally given up hoping that Everett and Snow would put up a good fight, but on the other, James Harlow was a walking, ticking time bomb. Jared caressed Nicole's hair as she was deep in thought. Office hours are over. You might want to stop thinking about work. Though there were unsolved issues at work daily, Jared was a person who preferred to look at the end result than to ruminate over the trivial and unnecessary. Okay, I won't think too much about it. Martin told me that I shouldn't exert my brain too much. Nicole nodded in agreement to Jared's advice. Jared looked at Nicole affectionately, though with a slight frown. How's the treatment going for you? Jared was aware that Nicole had been going to Martin for treatments, and during each time, he would be occupied and unable to leave work. As such, Jared felt guilty and apologetic that he could not be there with her. There's not much progress lately. We're focusing on the same treatment, but the good thing is, I don't feel as much pain as I did before. Nicole flashed him a faint smile. Perhaps things are gradually getting better. I've gotten to build my pain tolerance too. Whatever the end result would be, I guess. There are pros and cons, Nicole thought. Jared's forehead creased in distress as he heard Nicole tell him about her progress. He was aware of how much effort she had put in to endure the painful treatment just to get her memories back. I'll come with you in the future, Jared said in a soft voice. If she was in that much pain, why didn't she let me come over to accompany her? Jared thought to herself. No. I think it's best I go alone since you're heavily involved with my memories. It might muddle up the lines between memory and reality if you're there, Nicole declined. Nicole had seen some slight improvement in her treatment plans as she could now picture a few scenes out, though she was still unable to tell who was who. It was a major concern for Nicole that Jared would see her like that in that state. Jared felt helpless as he envisioned Nicole being in pain and refusing his help. Noticing that Jared was distraught, Nicole said, "How about we make a deal? You'll be the first to know if I have recovered my memories." Cool. Jared gave Nicole an affectionate stare before he breathed a sigh of defeat. Okay, we have a deal. Nicole let out a laugh in response. Yay. Jared's eyes finally softened up after seeing that Nicole was happy. Nicole too was glad that Jared was not distressed anymore. Then, she leaned onto his shoulder with a look of contentment. Soon after, they reached the Riddle residence. Nolan and Lana had just arrived home mere minutes before them. They both immediately ran up to their parents who had also just arrived. Daddy, Mommy. Jared reached out and hoisted Lana up into his arms, before booping her tiny button nose. Have you been a good girl today? Yes. Lana nodded. I know you're a good girl. Jared sauntered into the house with Lana in his arms. Tia walked over. Nicole. In response, Nicole smiled. Thank you for your hard work. It was nothing. It's easy to pick the kids up and drop them off, Tia said, bashful as she did not feel like it was a big deal. Come on, let's get in. Nicole held Nolan's hand and the group walked into the mansion. In the living room, Gloria and Daniel were with Stanley and Spencer. With so many people together, the house came alive with excitement and chatter. I'll go check on dinner. I'll have it sent to Grandma once it's ready, Tia informed, about to head to the kitchen. Tia, bring Grandma over. Let's all eat together, Nicole suggested. Sure, I'll go tell her. She'd definitely join us if you're inviting her, Tia said and went to the backyard. Mrs. Wallace Sr. was quite old and had difficulty moving, so she rarely came to the front yard. She preferred to be left alone in the backyard, only coming to the front yard during festivals or important occasions. Today was Nicole's idea, and Tia believed Mrs. Wallace Sr. would agree to come over. Watching Tia go get Mrs. Wallace Sr., Nicole smiled. It was not easy to get everyone to spend time together like this. Soon, Mrs. Wallace Sr. was pushed over in a wheelchair by Tia, and the family was seated at the dining table. The atmosphere was lively and joyous while everyone enjoyed the food and chatted away. After dinner, Nicole pushed Mrs. Wallace Sr. back to the backyard with Tia beside them. "Nicole, when you returned to us, it felt like my prayers were answered," Mrs. Wallace Sr. could not help but lament. "I should have come back earlier." Nicole sighed. Had she been aware of the warmth of her home, she would have brought Nolan and Lana back to San Joto earlier. "Regardless of the timing, it's good to have you back. We understand the hardships you endured out there." She sounded heartbroken. Nicole bit her lip, thinking, were those days tough? Maybe a little, but with the kids, it didn't feel as difficult. Anyway, it's all in the past. "Next is your marriage, and once that's settled, I'll have one less worry," Mrs. Wallace Sr. said, patting Nicole's hand. "About that, Elle will think about it first." Nicole wanted to express her desire to hold off on marriage, but she hesitated, not wanting to be too blunt. "I know you've always been strong, and Jared is great too. I'm quite at ease for you too," Mrs. Wallace Sr. continued. Then she looked at Tia. "Speaking of which, I'll probably only be worried about Tia." "Me?" Tia was a little surprised. She felt she was doing just fine. "Yes. I'm old, after all. When I leave, I really hope you would have found someone trustworthy." Mrs. Wallace Sr. sighed. For years, Tia had been taking care of Mrs. Wallace Sr. and had become like family to her. As a result, Mrs. Wallace Sr. was naturally concerned for Tia's future. Not expecting her to bring up the topic, Tia instantly blushed. She said hastily, "Grandma, LL don't need to think about these things yet." "Why not? You're a grown-up now, and you can't possibly stay with me forever," Mrs. Wallace Sr. exclaimed. "Besides, she might leave this world at any time." "Don't say that. I'll always be by your side," Tia replied, her eyes starting to water with emotion. "Silly girl." Mrs. Wallace Sr. smiled. She then turned to Nicole again. "Nicole, please take care of Tia in the future." "Grandma, Tia's my family. Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. But you're still energetic and hearty, so there's no need to talk about this yet," Nicole reassured Mrs. Wallace Sr. "Lovely. That's great." Mrs. Wallace Sr. felt more at ease at Nicole's promise. They then settled Mrs. Wallace Sr. in her room. Nicole made sure she was comfortable in bed and covered her with a blanket. After leaving the room, Tia's face was pale. She asked worriedly, "Is she all right, Nicole?" "She's fine. She's just worried about us." Nicole smiled reassuringly. Mrs. Wallace Sr. was in good shape, so those words were just casual remarks. Nicole did not want Tia to get overly concerned. Tia seemed relieved at Nicole's explanation. "Oh, I see. But you should really think about what she said. Don't you have any guy you like?" Nicole asked meaningfully with her eyebrow raised. "Nicole, not you too." Tia blushed. "All right, I won't push it. You should think about it yourself." Nicole smiled and left. Left alone, Tia stood there, all nervous and flustered. Nicole went back to the front yard, but everyone else had already returned to their rooms. Seeing the living room empty as well, Nicole headed upstairs to Nolan's room. Sure enough, Jared was inside with the kids. Nolan was quietly sitting in front of his computer. His serious expression indicated he was focused. Meantime, Lana was pestering Jared to read her a story, so Jared started reading it to her. Nicole smiled at the sight, feeling warm. "This is the feeling of home, being with my loved ones." Jared looked up and saw Nicole. He smiled at her and then continued with his story. Nicole did not interrupt them. She sat beside them and took out a book to read. "Oh yeah." After a moment, Nolan's shout of surprise gathered everyone's attention. "He must be done." Nicole knew it at a glance, and she smiled. Nolan proudly raised his chin, announcing, Not only did I complete the mission, but my ranking also rose. Whoa, you're so awesome. Lana clapped and cheered for her brother. In response, Nolan smiled smugly. You know it. You're going to be more and more awesome in the future, Lana said, looking proud. She knew her entire family was amazing at their job, and she was the luckiest person to be part of this family. Nolan was embarrassed by his sister's words, so he said earnestly, I'll work hard. As Nicole observed the two kids engrossed in their conversation, she could not help but feel a wave of warmth wash over her and satisfaction within her. Looking at the time, Nicole reminded the children, it's getting late. You should get some rest. Sure. I want Daddy to sleep in my room, Lana said, opening her arms toward Jared. No problem. Jared picked Lana up and left Nolan's room in big strides, walking next door. Nicole waited for Nolan to fall asleep before leaving the room. At the same time, Jared came out of Lana's room. What did you say to Nolan earlier? Jared whispered to her. When are you referring to? Maybe a few days ago. Jared was uncertain when it happened, but he could clearly sense the change in Nolan. Nicole still did not understand what Jared was referring to, so she frowned in confusion. Why do you ask? Have you noticed any changes in Nolan's behavior lately? Jared sensed that Nolan was slowly warming up to him. Though Nolan had not fully accepted him, the young boy was less resistant. What more, Nolan hardly brought up Lawrence when Jared was around. Upon hearing that, Nicole finally understood. She nodded. Oh, it was nothing. Well, I told him that Lawrence and I would only be friends. Otherwise, Nolan would have kept playing matchmaker between them. Nicole was finding it hard to handle. Whoa, he listened. Jared was quite shocked. He felt it was not easy to change Nolan's mindset. Let's just say he's trying. Nicole still knew Nolan better. If she set things straight, Nolan would figure things out on his own. Now, it was evident that Nolan had accepted the fact, whether wholeheartedly or reluctantly. Jared held Nicole's hand tight. That's great. You should reject your suitors like that in the future too. I don't have suitors, all right? Nicole rolled her eyes, finding his jealousy a little excessive. Who said that? You have so many suitors, Jared said helplessly. It could not be helped since Nicole had an attractive charm. Nicole smiled wryly. I'm sure you have more pursuers than I do. Compared to Nicole, Jared should be the one who was more sought after. He was the perfect catch. Rest assured, I only have you in my heart, Jared immediately replied. Nicole rolled her eyes at him again. You shouldn't worry either. There's no one in my heart. Nicole would never fall for his trap. She was aware that Jared was deliberately leading her into confessing. Realizing his plan was see-through, Jared did not show any embarrassment. I'm just speaking from my heart. That earned him yet another eye roll from Nicole, but he sensed a hint of shyness in her expression. He picked Nicole up and whispered, I can prove it. Nicole thought to herself, prove my foot. Who needs you to prove such things? Jared carried Nicole back to their room. By the time they reached their bedside, Nicole had been stripped bare by Jared and she felt heat spread through her body. Before she could protest, she was lost in Jared's domineering kiss. The next day, the sun shone brightly, and the breeze was gentle. Early in the morning, people were already on the way to start their day. Nicole arrived at the company as usual, and just as she was about to enter the elevator, she heard a familiar voice. Hold the elevator. Nicole pressed the open button for Lulu to enter the elevator before letting the doors close. As the elevator rose, Nicole noticed Lulu was panting. What's the hurry? I saw you, so I wanted to catch up. Lulu smiled innocently. Nicole asked with a knowing look, do you have good news for me? Yup, breaking news. Lulu said excitedly. Harvey met with Snow and even ate lunch together. Although it was just a meal, it was rather significant for Snow. You have no idea how cocky she was, as if she was going to marry Harvey, Lulu said with a hint of disdain. So you're saying Harvey's starting to make his move, Nicole said with furrowed brows. After rejecting Snow so many times, Harvey was preparing to take action now. Lulu nodded, her expression serious. Looks like it. What are you going to do, Nicole? I won't let him get his hands on Dillcorp, Nicole said coldly. If Harvey bought the subsidiary, it would be a huge loss for the Riddle family and the headquarters. Although Dillcorp's performance was mediocre, it was still part of the Riddle Corporation, and Nicole was not going to let it fall into someone else's hands. Lulu lowered her voice. What should we do? Ding. Upon reaching their designated floor, the elevator door opened. The pair made their way toward Nicole's office. Lulu, I've thought about it for a while. It's best if we don't do anything, Nicole said seriously. If the headquarters took action now, it would be clear that Dillcorp was under the headquarters' control. However, some people from Dillion's side had their sights set on Dillcorp as well. Acting now might not lead to the best outcome. Then who should do it? Lulu felt a little troubled. They would be unable to do it themselves, and if they entrusted it to someone else, the results could be unsatisfactory. Nicole said meaningfully, there's someone more suitable candidate than us. Rain. Rain. Lulu exclaimed. You mean, let Rain ruin Harvey's plan? But will she though? She has ambition. Nicole snorted with contempt. Rain, abetted by James, already had the intention of obtaining all of the Riddle family's assets. So those two sisters were bound to turn against each other, as Rain would not let anything stand in her way. Well, that's great for us. We could profit from their conflict, Lulu said. In that case, let's help them out. Nicole's eyes darkened. Snow will surely find a way to expose all of her and Harvey's arrangements. Just let public opinion ferment quickly on the internet. When that happened, Rain naturally could not sit still and would do whatever she needed to do to sabotage Snow. That would be where Nicole would step in and secretly offer Snow help in the dark. Got it, Lulu happily agreed. She had always liked doing this kind of thing. Look at how happy you are. Nicole teased. Geez, it's because you don't remember anything. Lulu shrugged. Back when we were in school, Snow was always like that. She always tried to get close to Harvey and claimed to be his girlfriend, only to get humiliated in the end. Thinking about it now, it's like she brought it upon herself. Back that, Snow did not hesitate to use Harvey to create trouble for Nicole. Now, the tables had turned. It was their turn to cause trouble for Snow. Looking at Lulu's behavior, Nicole could not help but shake her head. Oh right. Should we be cautious with Everett? Lulu warned. It seemed unpractical to just deal with Snow because Everett was the bigger villain. Nicole nodded. Sean will arrange for someone to keep an eye on him. All right, that's great, Lulu said with ease. If there's nothing else, I'll go back to work. Yeah, sure. Nicole nodded again. After Lulu left, she started reading the document on her table. Meanwhile, in the Johnston group, Jared sat at his desk, wearing a frown as he examined the data displayed on his computer screen. Mr. Johnston, is there something wrong? Max asked. No, it's nothing, Jared said with dark eyes. This month's financial statement seemed normal, but it felt like something was wrong with it. Mr. Johnston, there's still no news on Iris, Max said, disappointed. Was she always so good at hiding before? Max considered it highly unlikely that Iris had already left San Joto unless she could fly. Despite the size of the city, there were few places for Iris to hide. Where could she hide without being discovered? Jared's expression was gloomy. He did not expect that there would be no information about Iris's whereabouts. Should we call the team back? Max probed. If the manhunt slackened, Iris might let down her guard and show herself. No. She'll lose patience eventually, Jared replied. She could hide all she wanted, but there would be times she would need to show herself to survive. Yes, sir, Max responded. I'll send in more manpower. How is it on Lawrence? Jared asked coldly. Compared to Iris, Jared felt Lawrence was a bigger thorn in his side. We've been in contact with a few projects that have been negotiating with Genesis Group. But Lawrence did not make any further moves, Max informed. They could not tell what Lawrence was planning as he was keeping a rather low profile. Jared's eyes narrowed. Let's not rush it and wait, Jared said. Unless Lawrence conceded defeat, there was no way he would keep a low profile. Yes, sir. Max then left the office. Jared shifted his attention to the computer screen again, his eyes deep and thoughtful. Knock, knock, knock. A series of sudden hasty knocks sounded on the door. Come in, Jared answered coldly. Max re-entered the office and announced seriously, Mr. Johnston, the company's stock price suddenly went down. This was an unusual case for Johnston Group unless someone was behind it. Jared could not think of anyone who could freely manipulate the group's stock price. Jared instructed, investigate the situation now. I've already got someone on it. It's just that there's not much news yet, Max said with his face pale. Mr. Johnston, could Lawrence be behind this? However, the investigation on Lawrence's side had not yielded any result, and it was uncertain that Lawrence had the ability to do such things. Have them investigate overseas as well, Jared ordered. If it were Lawrence, he probably would not link the actions to Genesis Group. It was more probable that they were connected to his operations overseas. However, Lawrence's ability to jeopardize Johnston Group's standing in San Joto through his overseas operations indicated that his strength had increased considerably. Understood. Max nodded and left the office again. Jared tapped a finger on his desk, something flashing in his eyes. The news regarding the abnormal decline in Johnston Group stock price was no secret to the major companies, including Nicole. In Riddle Corporation, Steve and Sean were both in Nicole's office discussing it. Jared's facing a rough patch. He's been on edge lately, but this caught me off guard, Steve remarked with a hint of sympathy, his brow creasing.
Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.